Listen. This comes out of my heart to a next heart. Stay in tune for the next episode of Dexter. Blowing you the jellyfish kiss like Chester. Live from the house of Flying Daggers headquarters. The true hero taking over for the weak reporters. Shot rhymes by the ounce, fuck distributing quarters. Take an old record, flip it psychedelically. Shift on a deadly medley, dropping heavily. Regulate terribly. One means a remedy, consistent with the rhythm, so it must be hereditary. Black music, jazz, soul, and funk.
My name's Dean. I'm the founder and editor of the magazine. I just started working as a freelance journalist, and business was a little bit slow at first, and I'd always had an idea of maybe doing a magazine. I thought that maybe there was a gap in the Irish market for a kind of in-depth pop culture magazine with a DIY aesthetic. So about 2.5 years we've been doing it now. We've put out 9 issues.
I'm Elaine. I subedit Moroba. I wasn't with him from the start, but I've kind of been in dribs and drabs, becoming more and more involved. I know Dean a long time. We used to work together, and when he told me that he was working on this whole independent publishing deal, I was quite interested, and as soon as I had some time to help out, I started just subbing an odd article here and there, and then eventually that built up, and now I sub as much as I can. Yeah,
it's going well. Each one sells okay. We just kind of cover our costs through sales. We don't do much advertising. It's kind of part of the ethos of the magazine. Like recently we did our 90s hip hop issue because we do like to do themed issues, but we've done issues themed around, you know, Generation X. We've done pop music. We've done the Dublin music scene. So I do like to do themed issues every now and then, but we don't really lean towards any particular genre, and we won't even particularly lean towards music. We do features on film, media, art.
With Dean, because we're kind of tight, sometimes I'll be a bit uppity and kind of say, you can't publish this, it's crap. And he kind of takes my opinion on board.
When I was getting into music big, or when I was a teenager, I read a lot of magazines, and I always kind of read, I read different magazines from different parts of the world. I read Irish magazines and English magazines, and, you know, magazines that would have covered the UK music scene, or you know, leaned towards wherever really they were from. So I had a lot of knowledge on different types of music, different scenes. And then when the internet came about, of course, it just broke down all the walls. It became just as easy to be well read up on bands from the other side of the world as was for Ireland. So I think the magazine's probably geared towards people like me, like that, who've absorb just a huge amount of media from all over the world. We don't really revel in our own Irishness, I suppose. We don't ignore it either. So we've done an issue that was dedicated to Dublin.
There's lots of radio stations in Dublin, but they're not playing a lot of Dublin bands, which is really frustrating. So to get them out there in some way is great, and the fact that Dean also organises events that they can get involved in is also brilliant.
A lot of influential people tend to read it. So we have a lot of people who'd be really well known and around music writing. That's one of the kind of advantages, I think, of doing it as a magazine that makes its money through sales and not advertising. So while maybe only a few hundred people read it, every one of them really loves it. Each issue tends not to go stale. I mean, it's a kind of magazine you can pick up a year later and read through it, and it's still just as relevant as it was, or as enjoyable as it was. So we do still sell a fair few back issues. You know, we might have somebody who'll pick up a newest issue and like it and want to go back, and they'll buy the old issues, which is great.
I really like it. Like even if it never makes me any money, I'd still happily work on it.
Funding's always the main obstacle, making sure we have enough money in the pot to keep going doing it. Other than that, everything's been fine. I mean, everybody works on it. Like, I don't make any money from it, and nobody involved in it makes any money from it. But I've never really had any problems with that. You know, everyone's always been really, really professional with it and brilliant. So making the magazine, you know, when you have such a great team behind you, isn't that difficult. How many we print always depends on what the budget is, because our profit margins are pretty small. We need to sell almost every issue to fund the next one.
I've said this to lots of people. Like, I mean, most of the people that I pal around with are all editors and writers, and it is nice to come across something that the quality of writing in it is really high standards. There's stuff that I work on that nearly requires a rewrite as a subbing job, but it's not like that with Dean's content at all. I just think it's such high quality content that's coming at you, like, from a collective of people that are just doing it out of the pure passion and their love for what they're doing, and you can sense that in it.
We never really look ahead. We're always reliant on the current issue selling to fund the next one. Every kind of new issue we get out is a bonus, really, so I haven't thought too much beyond the next one, and even that I haven't started thinking about that a whole lot either. Yeah, I mean, if we were still making them this time next year, that would be brilliant.